You know that feeling. It's 2 a.m., your eyes burn staring at a spreadsheet, coffee fumes clinging. You're grinding relentlessly, but your bank account? Stubbornly, frustratingly flat. Let's be blunt. If you're working 80 hours a week and your bank account is flat, you don't have a business. You have a chaotic, low-paying job. This shatters the hustle culture myth that just pouring in more hours automatically equals progress. We bought into the lie. Push harder, sacrifice more, then the breakthrough comes. What if your system is fundamentally broken? Here's the kicker. You've got vision, right? A dazzling future for your business. But without a tangible system to achieve that vision, you're not building a business. You're just hallucinating it. It's a common trap, this ceiling of chaos. You hit a point where effort yields diminishing returns, your business fights you. Today, we're tearing down that ceiling. We're deploying the operating system Traction offers. Your time is too valuable for guesswork. But before you hire another assistant to put out your fires, you need to understand why your business is actually fighting you. If this bleeds a little too close to home, maybe give us a like. It means you're ready to stop the bleeding. Why you're broke at 80 hours a week. You're clocking 80 hours a week, sprinting just to stay still. You're pouring every ounce of yourself into this business, sacrificing weekends, family dinners, even basic sanity. Yet the bank account barely budges. The growth curve flattens. And the worst part? You know you're working harder than ever. This is the ceiling, not some mystical business jargon, but that invisible wall where sheer will, raw grit, and Herculean effort just stop scaling revenue. You've hit it, and frankly, most small business owners slam into it hard. That initial surge of adrenaline, the early wins fueled by pure hustle, they eventually run face first into this concrete barrier. No matter how many more hours you throw at it, you don't break through. You just burn out, and the business flatlines alongside you. Think about it this way. Your business isn't a smoothly running machine. It's a screaming toddler. You're not driving the car towards a destination. You're wrestling this tiny, chaotic human into a car seat every single day. You secure one strap, they unbuckle the other. You finally get them latched, they're kicking the back of your head. You're exhausted before you even put the car in drive. That's your operation. It's consuming all your energy just to contain it, leaving zero capacity to actually steer it anywhere meaningful, let alone accelerate. And what's your go-to move when you feel stuck? The shiny object syndrome. Don't lie, you've done it. We've all done it. You hear about a new marketing hack, a productivity app, a social media strategy that promises the moon. You dive in, spend precious time and money, half implement it, and then what? It sits there, another half-finished project collecting digital dust. This scattered approach is an epidemic for U.S. small businesses. We're constantly chasing the next magic bullet, believing some guru's secret sauce will fix everything. But it doesn't. It just creates more clutter, more complexity, and ultimately more stress. You end up with a messy pile of half-implemented solutions that solve nothing. Now, this book insists you ditch this whole mindset. And honestly, for some of us, that's a tough pill to swallow. We're wired to chase innovation. But the nugget of truth here is undeniable. Scattered effort yields scattered results. Consider my friend Sarah. She ran a thriving design studio, tripled her staff in 2 years. Sounded like success, right? On paper. But her profits actually nosedived. Why? Her new designers were spending half their time navigating confusing project handoffs and office politics. Sarah herself was putting out fires from side hustles her team was dabbling in, trying to make ends meet because their compensation structure was opaque, thanks to inflation eating into their real wages. Everyone was busy, yes. Everyone was working 80 hours, but they were rowing in wildly different directions, often against each other, with no clear rhythm or destination. Her business wasn't designed to grow. It was just designed to react to the latest crisis. If this hits home for you, drop a like. Here on AudioBook Bites, we distill the best books into actionable insights, but nothing beats the original. Grab the book if you want the full deep dive into these strategies. So, what's the solution to this endless toddler wrestling and shiny object chasing? It's not another hack. It's not another quick fix. What you need isn't a collection of disparate tools. You need an operating system. Think of it like your phone. It runs iOS or Android. It doesn't just have a few apps. It has a foundational framework that makes those apps work together seamlessly. That's what your business needs. A coherent system that integrates every moving part, bringing clarity, accountability, and discipline to your entire organization. It's an engine, not just a collection of fancy tires and a new coat of paint. To fix this, we have to burn your 40-page business plan, literally. Here is what replaces it. The 2-page strategy that replaces MBAs. You're stuck in traffic, scrolling through another LinkedIn post about synergy and paradigm shifts, and you just want a clear path, a real strategy, not another 50-page binder gathering dust. This episode shatters that corporate bloat. We're talking about the VTO, the Vision/Traction Organizer. Now, the author claims this 2-page document replaces an MBA. Honestly, a bit extreme. But here's the undeniable nugget of truth. This thing forces clarity. It strips away the BS. It's the lean agility a startup needs to survive a recession, not the bloated bureaucracy that crumbles under office politics. Right now, you're seeing it on screen, blurred out, of course, because proprietary info, but visually, it's elegant. 2 pages, just 2. Contrast that with the dusty, over-engineered 5-year projection PDF. Remember those? The ones crafted in a boardroom, then immediately irrelevant when inflation spikes or your side hustle suddenly demands your attention. Those things don't give you direction, they give you a guilt trip. So, how does it work? The VTO starts with your 10-year target. Don't overthink this. It's the dream, the big, audacious, if everything went perfectly, vision. Not a spreadsheet, not a forecast, just the North Star. What does winning look like a decade from now? For your career, your business, even your personal life. This anchors you. But here's where the rubber hits the road. The 90-day actions. This isn't some ethereal wish list. These are concrete, measurable steps. Think about it. 9 out of 10 corporate strategies fail because they live in a theoretical future. The VTO demands immediate action. What can you conquer in the next 3 months? What 3 things will move that 10-year target forward, even slightly? This is the reality check. This stops you from getting bogged down in endless planning. It's the difference between talking about starting that side hustle and actually launching it. Now, here's the kicker, and it's a non-negotiable rule. If it doesn't fit on 2 pages, you don't have a strategy. You have anxiety, period, full stop. More pages don't equal more foresight. They equal more procrastination, more overwhelm. It's a mental clutter filter. If you can't distill it, you haven't truly understood it. This document forces that rigorous thought. So, here is what you can do. Take your biggest goal right now, your next career move, that entrepreneurial lead, your family's financial stability in this wild economy. Try to map out that 10-year vision. Then, brutally honest, pull out the 3 non-negotiable actions for the next 90 days. If this approach resonates with you, if it strips away some of your own planning paralysis, drop a like, let us know. The bottom line is, this VTO empowers you to simplify, to execute. It cuts through the noise. It gives you a roadmap without drowning you in minutia. You gain traction. And in today's world, traction trumps theory every single time. Now that you know where you're going, we need to find the specific person destroying your progress. It's not who you think. Stop hiring collaborators. You're tired of playing corporate hot potato with responsibility, right? You know the game. Something needs doing, everyone agrees it's critical, then it just hangs. Nobody truly owns it. That's because we've bought into this dangerous myth, the gospel of collaboration. Don't get me wrong, good teamwork propels success. But in far too many companies, collaboration has devolved into a beautifully packaged excuse for shared incompetence. It's a cozy little blanket where nobody can be truly blamed because, hey, we were all collaborating. Honestly, the author here doesn't pull punches, and frankly, I love it. They shred the notion that more meetings, more shared docs, and more synergy somehow produces results. What it often produces? A hiding place, a place for people to duck accountability. In an age where side hustles are booming and inflation gnaws at everyone's paycheck, full engagement is a premium. Who wants to stick their neck out for a corporate gamble when they're already stretched thin? So they lean into the warm, fuzzy embrace of collaboration. Picture this all too common scenario. A shiny new product launch implodes. Massive budget, tons of internal meetings. Every department collaborated. But when the dust settles and the revenue targets shatter, who gets fired? Nobody. Why? Miscommunication, lack of alignment, not incompetence, mind you, just bad vibes. This is office politics disguised as process. Everyone points fingers at the vague, nebulous concept of miscommunication because no single person owned the outcome. It's infuriating. Here's the kicker, and this explodes the traditional thinking. Your standard organizational chart is often useless for driving results. That pretty diagram with boxes and lines, it describes reporting structures. It rarely, if ever, assigns crystal clear ownership. This book demands you scrap that antiquated artifact. Instead, you must build an accountability chart. An accountability chart isn't about who reports to whom, it's about who owns what. Who is the single individual who will be celebrated if it succeeds and held fully responsible if it fails? The author champions the one throat to choke concept. It sounds aggressive, I know, but it's pure, pragmatic genius. Sales needs one throat to choke, not a sales committee. Operations needs one. Finance needs one. This doesn't eliminate teamwork. It simply means that when the chips are down, there is no ambiguity. One person and one person only owns that critical function. They might delegate tasks, they might lead a team, but the ultimate success or failure lands squarely on their shoulders. Let me be blunt. If 3 people are responsible for sales numbers, I promise you, 0 people are actually responsible. The buck stops with one person, period. This isn't about being a dictator, it's about absolute clarity. It ignites a sense of true ownership that collaboration often extinguishes. What you can do right now, look at your own team, your own projects. For every major function or initiative, identify the single person, name them, make it known. This isn't about micromanaging, it's about empowering, giving someone the keys to the kingdom and then holding them to the standard. If this just sparked a flicker of recognition, a little aha moment for your own team dynamics, then drop a like. This simple shift redefines responsibility and eradicates the hiding places. You have the plan and the people. Now let's fix the single biggest time waster in corporate history, your Monday morning meeting. How to fix your calendar. Your calendar is probably a war zone, right? A jumbled mess of back-to-back squares, each promising productivity but delivering only dread. You're trapped, ping-ponging between virtual rooms, watching the clock tick, wondering why you're even there. Sound familiar? Because it should. The data slaps you in the face. The average executive torches a staggering 23 hours a week in utterly useless meetings. That's half your work week gone, vanished into the ether of circle back and let's take this offline. It's the relentless hum of Zoom fatigue, the infinite loop of discussing the exact same problem every single week without ever actually solving it. It drains your energy, devours your time, and stifles any chance of making real progress on your actual work, let alone that side hustle you're trying to launch to beat inflation. Here's where a radical shift explodes onto the scene: the Level 10 meeting. Honestly, when I first heard it, I rolled my eyes. Another corporate buzzword, I figured. But the core concept here shatters that skepticism. This isn't just about making your meetings better, it's about making them ruthlessly effective, a precision instrument for problem solving. The secret weapon? It's called the IDS protocol. No, not a new government agency. It stands for Identify, Discuss, Solve. Simple, right? Deceptively so. This isn't some airy-fairy brainstorming session. This is a surgical strike. First, identify. What's the real issue? Not the symptom, not the noise, not the office politics. The root cause. Someone says, our sales numbers are down. Fine, but why? Are your leads terrible? Is your product overpriced? Is your team burned out? You drill down until you hit bedrock. You force the team to articulate the core problem clearly, concisely. No jargon, no fluff. Next, you discuss. And this is where it gets spicy. You air it all out. Every perspective, every concern, every wild idea. But here's the kicker. It's time-boxed. You don't get to meander for an hour. This isn't a therapy session. The goal is to get all the relevant information on the table so you can actually move forward. And then the true game changer, solve. This isn't a suggestion, it's a mandate. You cannot, under any circumstances, virtual or physical, until the root cause is solved, forever. Not a band-aid, not a let's form a committee, a definitive, action-oriented solution with a clear owner and a deadline. If the problem is customer A is always late on payments, the solution isn't let's remind them. It's we implement a new payment reminder system, set auto billing, and if they miss it again, we escalate to legal, with Sarah owning the process by Friday. That's a solve. Now, I hear you. The skeptical voice in your head is screaming, solve forever? Are they insane? What about Bob from accounting who always drags his feet? And you're not wrong to be skeptical. This level of commitment is demanding. It exposes weaknesses, forces accountability, and frankly, shocks cultures accustomed to endless discussion loops. But the core truth remains. If you walk out without a permanent fix, you will be discussing that same problem again next week. It's an ironclad rule that slashes recurring headaches. If this pain of the endless loop hits home for you, drop a like right now. But even with perfectly run meetings, humans aren't built for year-long sprints. We lose focus, the world shifts, inflation changes market dynamics in a quarter. That's where the concept of rocks comes in. Forget the annual goal-setting extravaganza that nobody remembers by March. This approach insists on a 90-day focus. Think of rocks as your big quarterly priorities, 3 to 7 crucial objectives that must be completed in the next 90 days. Not a to-do list, not aspirational fluff. These are the mission-critical projects that propel your company forward. This 90-day cycle aligns everyone, creates intense focus, and ignites momentum. It's agile project management applied to your entire business. You can see the finish line, which fuels sustained effort, unlike that blurry, distant annual target. It works for companies, and frankly, it works for you and your personal goals, like finally launching that side hustle. So, you leverage level 10 meetings to identify problems, hammer out solutions, and then you assign those solutions as rocks to individuals or teams to be completed within the next 90 days. It's a closed-loop system designed to annihilate inefficiency and catapult productivity. This all sounds perfect, right? Wrong. There is a dark side to this book that might destroy your company culture if you aren't careful. The Fire Everyone Trap. Warning. You've heard the buzz around traction. It's everywhere, and for good reason. Some of it slashes through the corporate fog, But honestly, as your guide through the business bestseller jungle, I'm here to tell you some of this advice needs a serious BS filter. This isn't a textbook, it's a conversation. Let's dive into the fire everyone trap. Traction champions a ruthless approach to culture. If someone, even your superstar salesperson, doesn't vibrate with your core values, they're out. The book demands a clean purge. But hold up, you're navigating a modern, remote-first labor market where flexibility is currency. Firing a high performer because they don't enthusiastically embrace proactive synergy or whatever corporate buzzword you've settled on, that's a luxury few businesses can afford right now. Think about it. Replacing top talent sucks resources. Recruitment costs skyrocket. Training time devours productivity. And with inflation relentlessly gnawing at everyone's budget, do you really want to jettison a proven producer who, frankly, delivers? The book pushes a robotic adherence to culture fit. I say you need to manage talent, not just purge it. Understand why someone might not fit perfectly. Can you coach them, realign them, or are you just booting them because they don't echo every single one of your beliefs? That's office politics, not strategic leadership. Here's the kicker. The book practically assumes you're all in one room, high-fiving over breakthroughs. This old-school office mentality crumbles when applied to the reality of today. Your team? It's probably scattered across zip codes, states, maybe even time zones. Many are crushing their side hustles, proving their worth independently. You can't walk the halls for problems that exist on Slack or Teams. This anti-remote bias cripples the book's otherwise solid framework for distributed teams. And then there's the upsell. Traction implies you need a certified consultant, an EOS implementer, to unlock its full power. Honestly, that's where my skeptical filter activates. You don't need a high-priced guru to figure out your quarterly goals. You need a napkin, a pen, and 30 focused minutes. You already understand the levers that move your business. You know your team's strengths. Don't let a perceived complexity stifle your own common sense. You're perfectly capable of grabbing the essentials and implementing them. The book demolishes the myth that business has to be complicated, then immediately rebuilds it with a consultant fee. No. The bottom line is this. The core idea of setting clear goals and holding people accountable is golden. It shatters ambiguity. But be smart. Don't sacrifice proven performance on the altar of a rigid culture checklist. Don't assume everyone needs to be physically present to be effective. And definitely don't believe you need to pay someone thousands to tell you what you already suspect. If this hits home for you, drop a like. So, is this book the Bible of business or a cult manual? Here is my final verdict. The Final ROI Score. You're tired of the gurus, right? Another business book promising enlightenment, another software demo hijacking your calendar. Here's the unfiltered truth. Traction isn't groundbreaking thought leadership. It's an operating manual, a dirty wrench for your sputtering engine. Don't read it, use it. This isn't a shelf filler, it's a toolkit you'll implement. Now let's get controversial. You must filter the noise. Ignore the cultish jargon, L10 meetings, and visionaries. It's just fancy branding for common sense. And for the love of all that's productive, skip the software upsells. Their PDFs are clunky. Don't let them rope you into their ecosystem. Your existing tools likely do the job. The bottom line, what you implement immediately is rocks. These 90-day sprints revolutionize focus. Forget year-long plans that drift. Break it down. What must get done this quarter? That clarity shatters procrastination, whether you're battling office politics, launching a side hustle, or just trying to keep your head above the inflation tide. If that hits home, if you're sick of theoretical fluff and want a practical lever, drop a like. Seriously. Because your time is currency, I made a Notion template of the VTO so you don't have to wrestle with their PDF. Link below. You're welcome.